And we are live. Hello, everyone. This is
Hi.
Dr. Nelson from Central Florida. And let's see, we're live on all the channels. We're normally live on Instagram. And just tell me where you're watching from. Thank you for being here. Always like, comment, share, subscribe. If you're not subscribed to my channel, if you're watching on Dr. Kiltz channel, that's fine. But if you want to go and do a subscription on my channel at The Real Dr. Nelson, that will be appreciated. Uh, so I see a bunch of the people that are normally here on a regular basis. Juliet Marie, I see Rick, Larry, Karen, Brian. Thank you for being here. Today, we have Erin with us, and we're going to have her tell us a little bit about her story in a few minutes. First, I want you to be aware if uh, any of you wants to be on this coming class for the Kids Kiltz Health Coaching Certification. It starts tomorrow. So today is the last day to sign up for this go around. There will be a link there for the next class, and the regular price is $997. The first class got a huge discount because it's only $400. It's a 3 months class, and if you can't do it this time, that's fine. But the next time will be the regular price, 997. Uh, and hopefully it will be a lot of fun doing it. Starts tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna have an orientation about what we have in the website, uh, and the things that are available for you to already see there. If you signed up already, you should have gotten an email from Alia. If not, sometime later today, you will be getting that email. Any questions, you can email Alia and at drkills.com. Alia at drkills.com. Okay. Uh, I wasn't aware. A couple of people have already texted me that there was another uh, coaching certification that became available today. Um, and we're not trying to compete with anyone. The other certification is from a very well known uh, doctor, great doctor. I'm a fan as well. Theirs is going to be 6 months and it's going to be $3,500. So, uh, all right. If you hear my dog, sorry about that. I think there's someone at the door, so he's barking. All right. So, Erin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I was like, we're competing with kids and dogs here today.
Yeah, that's right. It's all good. Uh, so, go ahead. By the way, if you have any questions for Erin, please, as she's talking, go ahead and put them in the chat. QQQ. If you do that, it helps me identify it quicker. I'm sorry if I miss any questions. If you think I missed it, put it again. Okay, I will make every effort to highlight your questions. And so, Erin, you can go ahead and tell us a little bit about your story, uh, and how you became a carnivore, and what benefits it has done for you.
Okay.
I'm sure many people have heard it before here, but for those that have not, uh, go ahead.
I get to go first. You can go next. Okay. Okay. So I found carnivore by accident. I was sitting holding this baby, nursing her, watching TV about 4 months after I had her. And there was a guy, a homesteading channel, and he was talking about doing the carnivore diet. And I was all like, what is this? What is this carnivore diet? This guy's gonna die. How is he gonna use the bathroom? You know, all the usual questions anybody has about that. And and because I was talking about it and kind of making fun of it, I guess my phone picked up on it, and the TV started recommending after his show, Dr. Barry. And I was like, well, I got nothing else to watch. Let's see this guy. And I started watching Dr. Barry, started reading these comments, and I'm like, wait, what? You can lose 30 pounds in a month, and all you have to do is eat meat, and there's no exercise involved? It seemed pretty awesome to me. So, a little bit of my backstory. I do have 10 kids. I have 5 girls and 5 boys. And I used to walk with them all the time, especially after pregnancies, because walking is good for you in general. And I would do that to also lose weight. And every pregnancy, I would gain about 50 pounds, but then I would lose that 50 pounds. But back in 2016, I joined the post office, and I did that because I wanted to get paid to walk to lose weight. I heard that you could lose like 40 pounds by just walking 20 miles a day. And yes, you can. You can lose 40 pounds. Because I did that. And then I became pregnant with my 7th. So instead of having me carry really heavy parcels and things, they had me drive, and I gained all my weight back basically driving. And with Flash, I didn't have gestational diabetes, but with my other children, about, I'm going to say seven of them I've had gestational diabetes with, and it had to be, I couldn't just use diet. I had to have glyburide, but it would be like really low doses to help with my sugars during the nighttime into the morning, because I guess what they call the dawn effect was going on with me. And I remember when they told me, like, you need to take the glyburide, and they found out by the first dose they gave me, my sugars dropped dramatically, and I started to shake really bad. And the only thing I had close was like a banana, so I ate like one little bite of the banana, and right away I was fine. And I was like, whoa, there's a lot of sugar in bananas. And I was glad I realized that. So this would be my 3rd pregnancy. During that, I figured out that I can't really have any of the recommended carbohydrates or vegetables that they told me that I needed during the pregnancy. And I decided to just cut out all the bread, and just have, like, on my plate, it was just like meat and then like a ton of vegetables, because that's all I knew was, like, standard American. All I had to do was cut out the starches and the sugars and all that. And so, yeah, sit down. And I like to jump around too when I talk a lot. But anyway, because of that, through a lot of my pregnancies, one of them, I was able to, after they gave you the glucose drink, and you have to wait an hour. During that hour, I was able to walk up and down the stairs for the whole hour. And then when they took my blood, I didn't have gestational diabetes, but I still acted like I did, because I just didn't want to prick my finger the whole time while doing that. And anyway, fast forward all the way, because that's basically how I didn't have gestational diabetes with Flash, because of all the walking I did and the weight that I lost. And my blood, I guess when I took the sugary drink, my blood just was able to just sort the sugars out fast, I guess. I don't know. Probably from all the exercise I was doing pre. But, like, anyway, like, I was in so much pain during my post office job. Like, I had plantar fasciitis, but I still walked. I had, like, really bad backs. Oh, okay, you can have, that one's empty, hon. Drink this one. It's got salt in it. I have to drink salt in my water now, or I will faint, because my My heart rate goes a little too low now. Okay, hon, you sit here. Be good. I'll let you hold this one. Sorry. Okay, there you go. But it was like, gee, I don't know what I'm talking about now. But anyway, I I started carnivore March 3rd, 2023. The month before, what I did was actually get my brain right. Like, you're not going to have any carbohydrates. You're not going to drink any beer. You're not going to do any of these things, which I wouldn't have done it anyway because I was about 4 months in with the baby was 4 months old. And I usually wouldn't like drink a beer until they were like 6 months old. Yeah, that's us. Now you can close it and then open it. And I was like, you just have to get your mindset right before you start carnivore, honestly. And that's what I did because I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm going to do this for a week, but I was good for the week. So on Sunday, I'll have a treat for myself. Because what will happen is that you will start wanting, like, oh, I was good for 3 days and then I'll have another treat. No, I was like, I'm on it. Let's do this. And after the first 3 days, I woke up and my knees didn't. I was like, okay, close it like this, and then open it. And then I was like, whoa, what is this? My knees don't hurt. So I was 250 pounds. And the next week, my back didn't hurt. And I always just thought, my knees and my back hurt because I'm older. I'm getting older. I was almost 40. And
So how much had you lost when you noticed your knees were not hurting?
I didn't lose any weight at all. This is like when I started. It was just 3 days in.
3 days in, you had lot. I know what you said, but I just pointing out that you had not lost any weight. Many
Nope.
doctors will say, "Oh, if you lose weight, then your knees will get better because you're carrying less weight," and that is partially true. Mechanically, that's how it happens. But you were having pain 3 days into carnivore. You are no longer having pain, and it had nothing to do with any weight loss, but your inflammation had got down and your pain had got down, which is it happens fairly early for most people. The particular pain, whether it's knee pain, back pain, hip pain, plantar fasciitis, all these things that the doctor will tell you lose weight. And yes, maybe you need to lose weight, but the pain goes away before you even start losing the pounds. Go ahead.
Keep talking. I'm gonna let her out. She's gonna leave now.
Okay. So it is, for me, it happened also. The back pain, I didn't even realize when the plantar fasciitis, which I also had for 35 years. I had been using inserts in my shoes uh, because on and off I would be having plantar fasciitis. And nobody, I always say the same thing, nobody dies from plantar fasciitis, right? But it hurts. Okay, it hurts. And the thing is, one of the classic symptoms of that it is the plantar fascia that is inflamed is your pain starts with step number one in the morning, and that's after resting overnight, or even if you sit down and you put your foot up and you rest, you may have no pain. The moment you do that first step is the worst pain you can imagine. It actually gets a little bit better with walking, but people who have plantar fasciitis, sometimes they have pain all the time. So for me, it went away. I didn't even notice when it went away because usually you notice pain when it's there, and you, of course, don't pay attention when the pain is not there. How long did it take you for the plantar fasciitis to get better?
Actually, mine got better during when they made me start walking, not walking at the post office anymore, but they had me drive. And I had to drive like all the time. I was on my butt a lot. And I was also still just, eating carbs too. So,
Yeah.
but it was strange. I didn't really walk as much because I was sitting the whole time. So I don't know how it actually fixed itself for me because it was strange. I just wasn't walking, not using my feet, and I just let them rest probably. It's crazy that it worked that way for me, but I didn't have the pain for such a long time. Like all I had to do was just rest. Which you can't tell people that because my sister has it, and she was actually looking into when she was looking into get surgery on her feet. And I was like, maybe that's a bad idea. And so we were both in this around the time that we had the plant like really bad feet pain, plantar fasciitis. There was like this Dr. Scholl's machine that came out, and it'd be at the Walmart, and you would stand there on it, and it would like help you tell you what kind of like inserts you needed for your feet.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
yeah.
apparently the one that I needed, everybody needed it because it was gone all the time. Like whenever I stepped on it, I was like, oh dang. So I would try these weird things. They were like kangaroo cushion things that would wrap around your foot to help you. No, nothing helps. That foot pain is awful.
Yeah. The treatment of plantar fasciitis is this: when you see the patient for the first time, the first thing you want to do is get some weight off. What I always recommend is a very strong arch support, because if your arch is supported, then the heel, uh, some pressure is taken off the heel, which is where uh, the pain is worse. The plantar fascia runs uh, on the bottom of your foot, but it's attached to a bone in the heel, and it runs forward. Usually, the painful area is at the heel, and sometimes inserts do help. Anti-inflammatories help. Injections of cortisone with a very long needle uh, might have to be given if you're having severe pain. Even on the first visit, sometimes the doctor will offer you to do that. uh, I always try to get the mechanical pressure off, because that definitely helps. Uh, but, anyways, carnivore helped you. And you mentioned that once they put you to drive, of course, part of the treatment is taking weight off from the foot.
Yeah, and it helped. And I guess like a week later though, what I've always had was this just dull lower back pain. I've always had it, and I just chalked it up to the epidurals that I've had because I've had like seven. And I was brave a couple times, but not all the time. And that's like one of the things is like when you get an epidural, it's you could have back pain, and it went away. It was just gone. I'm like leaping out of bed, like 250 pounds, like leaping out of bed, like, oh my gosh, what is up? Like I started to feel really good, and I didn't kind of like my brain's very simple, so it didn't really click that, hey, you're feeling really good. What happened to the way you used to feel type deal? And I was just I don't know, I've been ecstatic ever since I started carnivore. I feel really good. And it must be something with like my hormones balancing or whatever, but I just I am so jolly, so happy. Stupid little things don't bother me anymore, and it's lovely. And I when I see people that are still kind of like brain foggy or just, under the influence of carbs, basically, I'm like, oh dear, you know what you could do. But they always hate it when I start talking about carnivore because it's another world for people, and it's hard to just be like, all I did was this. And it's so crazy. It was just a simple change. And they still don't it goes over their heads.
We have a question here for you. Can you tell us your age? You look 20, if that.
I'm, oh yeah, I'm 40. Also, I've been able to reverse my my aging process. It's a little bit of that tallow, the beef tallow. There it is.
If you have any questions, please put them in the description. QQQ, and we'll be able to see that. So you have a wide range of ages in your kids. You have 10 of them. You said 5 and 5. Uh, that's pretty good, I guess. If you're gonna have a bunch, to have equal numbers of each. Um,
Well, it came by twos. Like we'd have two girls, two boys, two girls, two boys. And then at the end, it was three boys in a row. So we thought the last one was going to be a boy, but it was a little girl.
mm.
I was like, I haven't had a little girl in like 7 years. I got rid of all the girl stuff. We had to
our
restart again with her.
our first three were boys, and then it came. The girl came as the baby. The baby's 29 though.
Oh,
Uh, all right. So, what do you feed your kids now? You've been carnivore now for 2 years, right? March 2023. This past Sunday was my 2 year carnivore.
yay!
Uh, what do you feed your kids? The ones who still let you, basically will eat what mama gives them.
Well, in the beginning, when I started to really heal, and I was like, I'm feeling really, really good. I wonder if we could do this to the kids, and maybe they'd feel really good. Like my older ones, I noticed the brain fog, especially the oldest, because when she was like 13, she was like, I'm going to become vegetarian or vegan or something. We are like, no, that's bad for you. You need to have protein. You're growing. Like, I had that, I knew that you needed protein type deal, but I didn't really connect the dots. And she's kind of more foggy, kind of spacey. And I've always been kind of pushing like a little bit at a time. And she's noticed all the weight I've lost, and she's like, well, maybe I can try chicken because she doesn't like beef. And I was like, yeah, we'll start with chicken. And we got her to eat chicken. But she's still eating her carbs. She's a carb addict. She likes the carbs. So recently I've got her to eat more meat, but it's hard for her to, because of all, I guess because of all that, she was a junketarian. She just loved junk food basically. And it's hard for her to break into keto. Anytime she tries, she gets these I guess it's like the carb withdrawals, but it's like really, really aggressive carb withdrawals, and she can't do it. So I was like, well, maybe you could, I don't know, we'll find a vegetable that's a little bit higher in carbs that you can eat with it to help you kind of transition. So we're working on that with her.
Yeah.
But
Well,
they love
basically,
the
what some people do have more noticeable carb withdrawal symptoms, basically. And you can just ease into it. I think you can be healthy in any way you eat, even if you're vegan. Now, vegans do need tons of supplementation, and I think carnivore is it's so easy to do, and really you don't need any supplementation. Some people might need a few things, uh, but even if you're vegan or vegetarian, we can do a ketogenic diet. But if you're able to eat meat, then of course it's better, I think. uh, but you can't be eating the junk food. And basically, when you walk into the supermarket, I would call junk food everything that comes in a box, a bag, or can. Because if you're not eating whole foods, you're probably eating a lot of stuff that you shouldn't, and it's going to contribute to your illnesses. We get sick. and sometimes we don't realize it. I just I just spend some time this weekend with some friends, and oh, you know, we went to breakfast, and I ordered some steak and eggs. They ordered some vegetarian omelet. Okay, but we had dinner just the night before, and she finished her meal with going to a famous ice cream place uh, to have dessert. You know, big cone of ice cream. Well, you can be a vegetarian all you want, but if you keep eating junk food, it defeats the purpose. And I think you're healthier eating the animal protein and fat. But to each its own.
That's right. And then my second oldest, she's like she's like really good body condition, shape, everything, and she's always like, if you guys would just eat in moderation, stuff wouldn't be gone in the house all the time. And she's always like, where's the pasta? I want pasta. And like I was telling you earlier, I was just like, I told her, I was like, hey, you want pasta? There's some organic flour still. All you need is some duck eggs and maybe you can melt some butter, do that. You can make pasta. And she's like, do we still have the machine to make all the pasta? And I was like, yes, we still have the pasta maker. But I don't want to do it. I have I used to do it for them because I was just like, well, maybe I'll just first we'll back off on all the crap food and we'll just do, whole foods with them. And we've been doing that for a while. We did do for March, I had them do carnivore, but it was slightly deviated. They could have like basically what I make them is like chicken or hamburgers or hamburger patties, and they can have like a fruit, and then what we would do was like cottage cheese, whatever cheese on the side. My kids, for some reason, we keep buying milk, but they don't drink the milk and it goes bad, but they'll drink the heavy whipping cream. So we get some of that for them. It's for the younger ones, it was super easy because with the baby, she basically transitioned to carnivore with me. And she's a little she's a little steak monster for sure, and she loves her butter. And I make those little silicone I have a silicone cupcake thing, but they're shaped like bear paws. And I use it for beef tallow and I put it in my fridge. She will climb up in the fridge, pop out these little bear paws, basically shapes, and just be walking around the house chewing on tallow. Like that's her thing. She loves to do that. I always have to make sure that there's hard boiled eggs in the fridge ready to go for them. They've got cheese sticks galore, and deli meats. Deli meats is great because they can take a pickle and wrap everything up and eat that, and they're cool with that. Some kind of weird beef roll up, beef and cheese pickle roll up.
Yeah,
They
and
they
I have
oh,
found that like you don't have to with veggies, right? You have to push the kids usually to have vegetables. They don't like it. Naturally, they don't like most vegetables.
yeah, they'll ask me.
You don't have to push them to have meat or fat or anything, eggs, bacon or whatever you're giving them. Usually, you don't have to push it onto them until they are adults, and that's another story.
Yeah, because they become teenagers and they know way more than I do. So
It's a circle of life. That's a natural thing. Larry Ryan makes the comment: I know a vegan who takes 30 pills of supplements a day. Not for me. LOL. Well, that is one of the problems of a vegan diet. You must supplement. Must. It's not if you want to. No, because there is nothing you're going to eat that has vitamin B12. There is nothing you're going to eat that has the EPA and DHA, omega 3 fatty acids. You're not consuming a lot of stuff. And many of the things you might be consuming, especially if you're eating things out of a box, a bag, or a can because it's vegan, they first take the vitamins out and then they put them back. So it says fortified, right? It's fortified with crappy commercially, industrially made vitamins that they're not used by your body, if anything. Even if they're used, they don't look the same as the ones from the animal sources, which is what you need. And sometimes that itself causes problems. So yes, you have to supplement heavily uh, on a vegan diet. Um,
That's crazy. I just
mhm.
thought, since it's so synthetic, maybe your body doesn't even absorb half of them at all, and it's just really sad
Do
because
you say you have eggs all the time boiled? Do you use the regular pot with water, or do you have a pressure cooker or anything like that that you use to do the
I
eggs?
I used to have the pressure cooker thing, and it was awesome because it would do eggs in 7 minutes steaming, and it was so easy to peel them. But the kids broke it, so instead, we have well water, so I just put the eggs in a pot, use the well water, and bubble them on the stove until they start to roll bubble. Turn it off, and I just let it cool on its own. And the eggs, 98% of the time, come out perfect. And that's what I do. I used to add salt, but I don't have to because of the well water. I don't think I need to. Um, it's supposed to help with peeling.
All right. It's such a key point that kids don't take to vegetables in many cases. They like to gnaw on rib bones. I know this from experience raising a couple of boys. And if you've heard me say something similar with my grandson, who is now, he's going to be this month 22 months old. And I wasn't allowed to give him any meat before he was a year old, but I gave him some bacon, and he liked the fatty. It was beef bacon, by the way, um, and he liked the fatty part of the bacon the best. And then I had some fat trimmings. I sort of cut them into very small pieces, fried them basically, uh, and he also liked that a lot immediately. I mean, there was no hesitation. He can get picky with some of the foods, uh, so they usually take to it very quickly.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's really easy. Like I always did this lead. I guess it was lead weaning with the kids. Like whenever they wanted to eat as babies, they would reach out and grab something, eat it, and usually always was like a chicken bone or meat when they were little, like 6 months old, 6 to 7 months old. And I've always nursed them till they're like 2 or 3 years old because it just seemed easier that way instead of buying the vegetables. I just felt so bad for the older children. I would get the rice and they wouldn't even want it, even though the doctor recommended it. And I'd be like, well, they're not going to eat this. So I stopped buying it. And I was just like, since you're nursing, you'll be fine. And if you want to eat something, they'll eat, you know. And it seemed easier that way for me and cheaper.
And
My baby food.
I think kids are mostly, most of them, fairly metabolically healthy, so they might be able to tolerate some fruit, especially in season. The berries, in particular, lowest glycemic index and amount of carbohydrates usually. But this thing about having fruit 365 days of the year, and things that you wouldn't, I mean, I grew up having mangoes in Puerto Rico. Well, they were not available 12 months of the year, 365 days. And of course, we didn't have apples in the tropics in Puerto Rico. But now it doesn't matter where you live, you have available all kinds of fruit 365 days of the year. That's not natural at all. Now, your YouTube name includes goats. You don't have goats anymore, do you?
No, we just have the chickens and geese for now. and the kids.
So, what animals do you have right now?
We just have the chickens. We have geese. We've got turkeys. Just a lot of fowl, basically.
Okay.
And we have to like and guineas. We're redoing our fencing because the big problem was our fencing. We got some cheaper goats and they taught the bigger goats how to get out and they would go on the road and that's very dangerous. So I had to sell them right away because anytime I fixed the fence, they would figure a way to get out because you can't keep them in. They're crazy. And at the time, I didn't have electrical fence, so I couldn't do like a line on the top and bottom to keep them from getting out. So it was just easier to sell them right away, and that's what we did. And now I'm working on clearing the property because it just got overgrown now because we don't have the goats anymore. And we're gonna redo all the fencing. We bought the fencing to do it like years ago to redo everything, but we haven't done it yet, but we'll get to it.
So, are you planning to have goats again?
Yeah, I am actually. I like goats, and the kids like the goat milk, and that's fine with me because
I grew up eating goat, and actually, I didn't grow up eating lamb. There's not much lamb in Puerto Rico, but there's goats definitely. And I always mention that my father grew up on goat's milk, almost straight from the tit, because when he was born, my grandmother, his mother, had an infection of some sort and couldn't breastfeed him. There was no formula in the early 1900s. So that's what he grew up in was goat's milk, almost straight from the goat. Uh, it is
yeah,
actually the closest milk to human breast milk.
it is. And when we had goats, my son Nixon was the baby, and one of them was ready to milk, and I could not get this goat. I couldn't milk it, and my daughter, my oldest, she was just like, "It's so easy, mom, like this," and she's like, the baby's opening his mouth, and she was squirting it right to his mouth. And the dog loved it. So yeah, they're alive, so I'm sure it was fine.
Uh, is your oldest one who you said is 18? Did he graduate from high school already, or
Yes, and she's going
she?
to
Okay.
cosmetology school, and
Okay.
she'll be done in September. She started right after she graduated high school to get it over with, so she can get a job and go on. And now she's
Okay.
changed. It's like I wanna work in the forestry field now. So she's gonna go back to school after she's done, which is fine. You can change your mind. Change your mind as much as you want. Just eat more meat. No.
Terry says, my mom said since I was a colicky baby and she didn't breastfeed uh, her, they ended up giving me goat's milk. Like I said, it's the closest one to human breast milk. Not that the cow's milk is that far, that different, but the goat's milk is closer to human breast milk. There is even some goat's milk based formula that you can find out there. Unfortunately, all formulas have some ingredients that I don't think anybody who's a regular uh, watcher of carnivore channels would like.
Yeah.
But all of them have seed oils in particular, and they have corn syrup as a sweetener, and they are not the best. I wish there could be something better out there, but there isn't. So, well, there is something better out there. Sometimes it's not available, and that's mother's milk, of
Yeah.
course. Uh, all right. They're talking about having lamb uh, and goat. All right. I have used powdered goat's milk for yogurt. Yeah. So the powdered goat's milk, was that a formula for babies that you bought, Rick? Uh, some of them, palm oil. The problem with all industrially produced oils is the process. Palm oil is a little bit different than the rest of the seed oils, but it's still, if you want to grade them, it's in that gray zone. Um, authentic, authentic Mexican or Central American places might have cabrito. You know what cabrito is, Erin?
Is it cooked goat?
It's cooked. It's goat. Yes, goat in Spanish is either cabro or cabrito. That's the diminutive. In some countries also they call it chivo or chiva. That's goat as well. Um, I had a discussion with a vegan friend about how environmentally destructive palm oil is. Well, if if you're vegan, by the way, you're destroying the environment much more than those carnivores. You might not want to hear that, but that is the truth. Um, the powdered goat's milk was given to me. Goat meat, by the way, some people may not be very close to Spanish restaurants, not restaurant, Spanish supermarkets. You will find goat in most Spanish supermarkets. They would have it. You also will have goats in halal supermarkets. Many Middle Eastern type of supermarket, especially if they have a butcher shop, they will have goat and lamb, and usually it's less expensive than beef.
Yep.
So I think you get a good bang for your goat for your for your goat for your money. Uh, and I like goat's meat better than lamb. They Someone mentioned, at least in my experience, they don't taste like each other. They are a little bit different. Okay. Yeah, I don't think Taco Bell, by the way, is not a Spanish restaurant.
No, it's not.
Not a Mexican restaurant, definitely. Goat's meat is easy to find here because in Miami, and of course, every Spanish supermarket they will have goat because it's very popular in most Spanish countries to eat goat. So I've only had goat meat once at a Filipino barbecue party. It was a bit rubbery to me. Having had it since, I did have pet pygmy goats, though I sure wouldn't be able to eat them. Just cook them and invite me. I will have no problem eating them. I want to recognize it if I see it on the menu. I've always noticed goat at Jamaican places too. Yeah, all Jamaica, even though it's not a Spanish country, it's in the Caribbean. They eat goat. Yes. Um, Taco Bell will destroy your digestion. Um, We have some great Mexican restaurants near me. Where do you live, Larry? I'm in Central Florida, by the way. So yes, there's goat in any Spanish supermarket. It'd be strange if I don't find goat when I go to the supermarket. I've never thought about ordering goat, but I will now. Cabrito is a young goat. Well, uh, whether it's old or young, at the butcher shop, they're not going to tell you if it's old. Basically, it's old cabrito. But strictly speaking, you are correct. Uh, Cabrito will be a kid, right? Did they call it a kid? The baby goats? Yeah.
Yeah, they call them kids.
I'm fine with never eating goat. Cute, but would never refuse goat cheese. The very first time I remember eating goat cheese was in Long Island. Well, it was in New York, and it was like 1985 or 86. And I don't know, you can make goat cheese taste in any way, depending on how you make the cheese. So whatever I had was not good. I didn't like it. But I've had goat cheese more recently and tasted completely different. So I'm fine with never eating goat. Too cute. Yeah. Glenbell was not Spanish. Next time I get goat, I will invite the real Dr. Nelson. Let me know. I think I'm about 4.5 hours driving time from you, because that's normally what it would take me to get to Miami. I I am not a big cities, so and I've been in Miami several times, of course, but n- not a big fan of all the traffic and the big cities. Chicago on the south side. You should be able to find all kinds of me in Chicago. There's too many Puerto Ricans and all kinds of Hispanics in Chicago. So all you have to do is search for it. Okay. So how old is this one?
This is the youngest. She's 2. So
She's
hi,
two. What's her name?
Raquel.
Raquel.
Mhm.
In Spanish will be Raquel.
Ah, there it is.
¿Cómo
Yeah, I was.
estás? ¿Cómo
They,
estás, Raquel?
yeah, ¿cómo estás, Raquel? Muy
How you
bien.
doing? You doing okay?
All right. I was thinking the other day about this one. Since she was like, I was eating carnivore and breastfeeding her, I've never had diaper rash problems with this one. I rarely did, but like this one, like with all the kids, but this one never, ever, ever had it. So that's something to think about.
Right? You
People
were
that are
producing the best milk possible for her. Her curls are adorable. Is that a red hair?
it's blondish, reddish. What is that? Strawberry blonde. That's what they
Strawberry
call it.
blonde?
Yeah.
Okay.
This one's empty. This one's yours.
Okay. Who do we have here to your right?
Oh, that's Flash Gordon.
How are you doing?
Good.
You're doing good? Good. Do you have dinner already? Oh, that's too early for dinner, but dinner's coming. What do you have for lunch?
We didn't do it yet, did we? I fed them later. They had eggs and bacon around 11.
Okay.
Do you want anything? No, no. Yeah, they're not full. I mean, they're full. They're not hungry. You hungry? No. Okay.
After the goats ate my friend's whole garden, he wasn't feeling guilty about eating them. Um, how about you? Your goats, Aaron? Did they eat everything they found?
Yeah, they did. It was awesome. Now we have like poison ivy growing everywhere, which is awful because anytime I look at it, I get it. The kids don't get it. That's what I miss about the goats. They just ate everything.
They eat everything, anything and everything.
Yeah. Oh, that's just crazy. That's just crazy.
Hello, Tom. I made it after all. Hello, Erin and Dr. Nelson. Uh,
Oh, you're back? Come here. Hi, baby. That's okay.
Carnivorous. Okay, I started trying beef kidney and beef heart. It's cheap. In the Spanish supermarket I go to, they have kidneys, they have hearts, they have chicken gizzards. Um, they have a few of the organs and bones with bone marrow for, you know, they usually have a good complement of everything. Where you're in Tennessee, right, Aaron?
Yes. Middle
Where
Tennessee.
we're in Tennessee,
In the middle. That's what they call it, Middle Tennessee.
Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
So, what's the biggest city near you?
Murfreesboro.
Okay,
Yeah,
not familiar
Murfreesboro's
with
an hour
that
from
one.
something like that.
What is that in relation to last time I was in Tennessee was Knoxville?
I'm about 2.5 hours from Knoxville.
Which way?
Um, if I well, you're more Knoxville's more east, so we would be going 2.5 miles west from Knoxville.
To Knoxville. You're yeah, you have to drive 2.5 hours west.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the farthest east I've been in Tennessee. Then Knoxville.
What are you doing?
Shout out to Louis. I agree. We'll try some soon. Talking about the goat. Okay. Feral Grandma says carnivorous. I didn't like kidney so much, but I have always liked some beef heart. Beef heart, I think, is easier to eat. Um, Tastes a little bit different than muscle meat, but it's the closest one to muscle meat. I think out of the all the organs because they all have a different
Watch out! Put that over here.
taste. Chivo frito, Rick. I usually have had growing up. I had goat in a stew with all kinds of different roots. We wanted we rented a large home, invited family to stay, free for 8 days. Anyone near Punta Gorda, Florida? We just picked because round trip flight from our little airport is only $79. Where are you at, Juliet Marie? Uh, Punta Gorda? Where is that? Punta Gorda, I think, is towards the central uh, Florida, near the Okeechobee area, right? I might be confusing it with it's Charlotte County. I'm still not. Okay, it's north of Fort Myer and Port Charlotte and south of Port Charlotte. Yeah, you're close to Dr. Kiltz. Uh, maybe an hour or two from Dr. Kiltz.
Here, have a sip.
Okay. All right. So, what's your next goal with this carnivore thing? Are you going to continue eating carnivore like you are right now, or
Yeah, probably because in the beginning of my diet, I was watching some lady, and she was like, after you've done the carnivore diet for maybe 30 days, you should probably try to reintroduce something and see how you react. And one of my reintroductions was a little bit of spaghetti, and it made me comatose, and I don't like that feeling. So I'm not gonna go back and eat carbs or anything like that because I didn't like how I felt. I felt comatose. I was like, is this how everybody's feeling? Is this how you guys are feeling right now? And everybody looked at me like I was weird because like it was just it was intense. It was like this big laziness, this like I couldn't move. I didn't like it. So I think last year around this time, I grew cucumbers and I sliced one up and I said, I'm going to try this cucumber, like, raw cucumber. And like, not even 20 minutes later, my stomach was like, squeeze, 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 squeeze. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick with carnivore. I like the way I feel on it way better than anything else that I've tried. And I just feel really good. Like I really do. And my hope is the best way to change the world is to start with your home. And so my hope is to get these guys. They already realize eating carnivores changed mom so much, but for me, I hope they just like kind of go, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll eat even more meat for the older ones, and maybe I'll go without this stuff because you can obviously survive off of meat and fat. Like it's awesome, and I absolutely love it. It helps me every day. I have so much energy. I usually, I have been. I decided to like start up my YouTube again because my daughter was all like, "You should do something with that energy," and I'm like, "Yeah, I guess I got to do something." So this became making movies every day was quite by accident. I didn't mean to do it, but I started to get a lot of people that were just like, um, I like watching you. It helps me with my carnivore diet to see somebody just living their carnivore life. And I'm like, okay, I'll just continue because it's really easy just to hit record, set up something, and just like go about your day. The hard part is the editing because you got to go through a lot of stuff. But it's not too terrible. It gives me about an hour to myself a day to do a video. And it's nice and it's almost kind of therapeutic in a way. It's fun. So I would suggest that at least if you have, because when you go to YouTube, you make a channel anyway. I would suggest if you do carnivore and you've had healing, why not just put out a video, just one? You don't have to get hooked like me and do like a bazillion a day, but like
there? And there's no requirement for having 10 kids before you start posting either. So,
yeah, there's no
you
requirement for that.
know,
Yes.
Kitchen Witch, an interesting name. Erin is the goat butter woman.
I've done
Uh,
Butter Woman commercials.
Thank you for the super chat. And so, where can we find your channel, Erin?
It's you could just type in booby goats and it should pop up in the search for on YouTube. That's where you can find me. But you can also find me on Instagram. I think when you find my channel and you click on it, it'll give a description and it should have a link to get you there if you
All
wanted to
right.
check it out. Usually on my
So,
Instagram, I upload my YouTube shorts that you won't see on YouTube right away, but you'll see them on there a little bit quicker.
so go to Booby Goats. Uh,
I think on
and
Instagram it's Erin B, and then the zeros for booby, and then there's a zero on the goat to get me.
okay.
It's okay,
Well,
Rock.
thank you for being here, Erin. We are all in this together. You've found improvement in many things. Just keep sharing. If you have had improvements, please share. That's how we're gonna be able to spread this message. Let me ask you something. Your kids are probably out of school already, right?
Yes.
But they go to school regularly, or do you homeschool?
Yeah. I only homeschool one.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, they go to
So
school regularly.
what do they eat in school?
Probably the terrible school lunches that they feed them. What I do is what I can do. I feed them bacon and eggs before they go to school. They usually come home and say there was nothing edible today. And I always have like hard boiled eggs, bacon ready for them, cheeses, like little charcuterie board basically every day. Because they're not really that hungry. Once you fill up in the morning on bacon and eggs, you kind of can do your day. But you can't stop what they're always giving. They want snacks for the kids and stuff, and I always try to get like the stuff that doesn't have any soybean oil in it, no sugar type things.
All righty.
So,
Well, then let me see. I think all right. We took care of that. If there was any questions, I apologize.
we're just-
Please go to her channel and sign up, and we'll see you in these channels in the morning at 6 a.m. After the morning live, I'm gonna get ready and go to Melbourne to meet with old guy carnivore Mitch and spend some time there. Dr. Kiltz is gonna be there as well. And don't forget, if you're interested in the coaching certification, by the way, I always tell people nobody needs the coaching certification. Okay. As far as needing it, just start sharing your message and talk to people. We once we have benefits, we like to tell others. But if you're interested in some training, uh, we can offer you that. It's gonna be a short course. It's gonna be 3 months. And I know it's cheaper than anything out there. So you'll find the link in the description. I know I put it in my personal channel description. I'm not sure right now if it's in the Dr. Kiltz channels. Doesn't look like it is. Let me see. Um, doesn't look like it's there, but you will find the link for the coaching course in the description at my channel at The Real Dr. Nelson. You have a good afternoon. Erin, thank you for being here.
thanks for
And
having.
we'll see you around. When are you coming to a meetup? Do we
I
have
don't
to
know.
do one in Tennessee for you to go?
Maybe one a little bit closer. The last one was about. It would have been an 8 hour drive for me. I couldn't do it.
Oh. So what's the bigger city
That I
near
could
you?
probably. There's Nashville. But there's also somebody mentioned one time that somebody should do a meetup in Manchester because that's also a big city and it's kind of nice.
Okay. Well,
Gotta
we'll
go.
certainly see you around. Thank you for being here. You have a good day, everyone. Eat meat.